Leader Thune, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you, Kristen. Nice to be with you.
Thank you so much for being here on a big weekend. We are going to get to the funding battle on Capitol Hill in just a moment, but I do want to start with the indictment of former FBI Director James Comey, who is, as you know, an outspoken critic of President Trump's. And it comes as the president publicly pushed his Attorney General, Pam Bondi, to prosecute Mr. Comey in a social media post last week. Let me ask you, Leader Thune, do you believe the Justice Department is acting independently here?
Well, it's based upon the findings of a grand jury, Kristen. So I think that that was the indictment that came. It was by a jury of his peers. This is not a new subject, obviously. This is something that the Senate Judiciary Committee examined and lodged a active investigation into back in 2020. So I think these are just, the courts are going to have to decide this. These are allegations. They're not unserious allegations. And there are people in the past who have gone to jail for lying to Congress. So I think I trust the judicial system and the justice system to figure this out. Obviously, they're going to have the final say in it.
Well, I guess the question is about what we have heard from the president on this matter. And he has been going after former FBI Director James Comey for years. Take a listen to a little bit of what he said.
I fired James Comey because he was a bad cop and he was a dirty cop.
I think Comey is a disgrace to our country.
I will tell you this, a great honor to fire James Comey. A great, great honor.
I just want people to act. If they're not guilty, that's fine. If they are guilty or if they should be charged, they should be charged. And we have to do it now.
Leader Thune, given all of that, is this a politically motivated prosecution?
Well, I think the important statement that he made, Kristen, was the last one, and that if he's guilty, he should be judged. If he's not guilty, he won't be. And again, I trust the justice system to sort that out. Obviously, these were serious enough allegations that the Senate Judiciary Committee back at the time launched an active investigation into the subject. But again, I trust the justice system. There will be a process. He will have his day in court, and if he is innocent of the charges, then I'm sure that they'll be thrown out.
But, Mr. Leader, President Trump also said this week, quote, "I hope there are others," indicating he'd like to see opponents charged. And on Friday, Attorney General Pam Bondi said this. She said, quote, "This is just the beginning." Would you support the Justice Department bringing criminal charges against other political opponents of President Trump's?
Obviously, a speculative and hypothetical question. I don't know the answer. I don't know what she's talking about. But there are serious enough allegations with Mr. Comey that a grand jury of 14 members, a jury of his peers, thought that it was worth pursuing. They're the ones who brought the indictment. So I think you got to let the process work, Kristen. Let the justice system work, and he'll have his day in court. And if he is in fact innocent, I'm sure he'll be found that way.
Do you rule out that the president is pressuring the Justice Department based on those public comments?
You know, the president says a lot of things in public, and he has through the years. He's not a fan, as we all know, of James Comey. Neither is James Comey a fan of President Trump. He did something recently, 86-47, he wrote on the sand and then posted on social media. That doesn't seem like something that you would have an official of his stature, or at least formally of his stature, doing either. But I think at the end of the day, it's about the justice system and them settling this one way or the other. The charges, as I said, it was a grand jury, and I have no idea where it goes from here, how solid the evidence is. I'm not a lawyer, but the courts will sort it out. And that's why we have a process in this country. And as I said, there was a time, certainly just a few years ago, where people took this seriously enough that Chuck Grassley, who was the chairman of the Judiciary Committee at the time, launched an active investigation into these allegations. So it's not a new thing. Yes, the president may not like James Comey, and James Comey may not like the president, but what in the end it's about the law and the facts, where they lead, and I trust the justice system to figure that out.
Bottom line, what do you say to those who argue this is an abuse of power, pure and simple?
Look, I think that, again, how do you not, when you come back and you say that you've had a grand jury look at this evidence and bring this indictment, the people are going to come to their own conclusions. We live in a very politicized, polarized time, and obviously there are a lot of allegations being thrown around out there, mostly by people, obviously, who have a political motivation, who hate the president. So these things this is a highly charged time. But again, our judicial system is there for this reason, to sort these things out, figure out guilt and innocence, and I trust them to do that.
All right, let's talk about the big battle over government funding. We're just 2 days away, Leader, as you know, from a potential government shutdown. The president did cancel a planned meeting with Democratic leaders. The House doesn't plan to be in session until after the shutdown deadline. Is the government going to shut down this week, Leader Thune?
Totally up to the Democrats. The ball is in their court. There is a bill sitting at the desk in the Senate right now. We could pick it up today and pass it, that has been passed by the House, that will be signed into law by the president to keep the government open. So this decision, in my judgment, at this point in time, is up to a handful of Democrats. We need 8 Democrats to pass it through the Senate, something that 13 times, when the Democrats had the majority over the last 4 years and President Biden was in the White House, Republicans helped Democrats do. 13 different times we did continuing resolutions in the Democrat majority, and in every case they passed. And what the Democrats have done here is take the federal government as a hostage, and for that matter, by extension, the American people, to try and get a whole laundry list of things that they want, that special interest groups on the far left are pushing them to accomplish, and using a 7-week funding resolution, which is designed to give us time to do the normal appropriations process. They're using this hostage to try and get all these other things done. It's a very straightforward argument in my mind. It's simple.
I want to play something that Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said about the president canceling the meeting this week. Get your reaction on the other side. Take a look.
He said he doesn't need Democrats. Well, then he doesn't know how to count, because there are 60 votes in this Senate that you need to pass this, and he's got 53.
Leader Thune, aren't you going to have to compromise with Democrats in order to get a deal and keep the government open?
Compromise on what, Kristen? This is a simple 7-week funding resolution to allow us to do a normal appropriations process, something that Democrat senators have said that they want to see done, but something that Leader Schumer didn't do when they had the majority. They didn't do appropriations bills. This is new leadership. We're trying to do appropriations bills in the old-fashioned way, in an open, transparent way, where the Appropriations Committee writes the bills with Democrat and Republican input, reports them out to the floor, where we have an open amendment process. This is simply about keeping that appropriations process going. I don't know what we're supposed to be negotiating. We did this 13 times when they had the majority, and in every circumstance, Republicans delivered the votes, so much so that the lowest vote count on all 13 of those was 65 senators. This is a simple, straightforward deal to keep the government running, so for the next 7 weeks we have an opportunity to finish the appropriations process. They're trying to hijack it and load up all this liberal special interest stuff that they're working with these outside groups to do. It's politics. It is political posturing. They are afraid of their base, and they're trying to do something to get them motivated and not angry at them.
Just so folks understand, here's what Democrats are arguing. They say that at the crux of this is the skyrocketing cost of health care, and especially the expiring Obamacare tax credits, which could mean doubling or tripling of premiums should they expire, with some people losing financial assistance altogether. Do you think that those tax credits, those subsidies, should expire, Leader Thune?
That doesn't happen until the end of the year. We can have that conversation, but before we do, release the hostage. Set the American people free, keep the government open, and then let's have a conversation about those premium tax credits. I'm certainly open to that. I think we all are. I will say that that is an issue which is going to have to be, that particular program is desperately in need of reform. It's fraught with waste, fraud, and abuse. So we are going to have reforms if we take action there, but I think there's potentially a path forward. We have to see where it goes, but we can't do it while the American people are being held hostage by the Democrats in a government shutdown. Keep the government open, let's fund the government, and then let's have the conversation about the premium tax credits. It's a fairly straightforward argument that we're making.
But Leader Thune, open enrollment starts in November 1st. You just said you are open to potentially negotiating over that. As you know, if they do expire, the number of uninsured people in your state of South Dakota would rise by about 20,000. So why not negotiate now and get this deal done for the people of your state?
Well, the deal is not ready to be done. The government is going to close on Tuesday night at midnight. Let's keep the government open. Let's go to work on that issue. And yes, I mean, some of the notices are going to start going out. The program wouldn't end until the end of the year. And the program doesn't end. These were plus-ups that were done in response to COVID. These were enhancements. And it's a program, Kristen, as I said, that is fraught with waste, fraud, and abuse. There are so many people who don't even know they have coverage because the payments are made directly to the insurance companies. They auto-enroll people. They go out and sign them up so they can get paid. You have a lot of people who don't even know they have coverage. So more than half of the people that have insurance through this program never filed a claim last year. I mean, this is a program where they took the lids off. There's no income limits now. You can make $600,000 a year and qualify for this. So it's a program in desperate need of reform. And we acknowledge that, you know, there's going to have to be, you know, hopefully there'll be some steps taken that can address the concerns that Democrats have, but you can't do this by Tuesday, and you can't do it while you're holding the American people hostage with a government shutdown. So let's keep the government open and then figure out where we go.
We have a lot more to get to. We're running out of time. The White House Budget Office released a memo telling agencies to prepare for mass firings if there's a shutdown. Do you support mass firings of federal employees if the government shuts down?
It doesn't have to happen. That's what I'm saying.
But do you support it?
They're playing
would you
with fire,
support it?
and they know it. They're playing with fire, and they know it, Kristen.
But do you support this threat by the president?
Chuck Schumer said a few months ago that a government shutdown would be chaotic, harmful, and painful. He's right, and that's why we shouldn't do it. So this is, I mean, if you're worried about that, then let's keep the government open. It's a pretty straightforward, again, argument. I find this, I'm very comfortable with the position that we have. It's to fund the government, finish the appropriations process, deal with the issues the Democrats want to deal with after we keep the government open.
Okay, I want to talk to you about the president's tariff policy. This week, he announced a slew of new tariffs, including 100% tariffs on pharmaceuticals, kitchen cabinets, heavy-duty trucks. This week, he acknowledged that farmers are hurting because of his tariff policy. He said he'd use some of the tariff revenue to actually help farmers who are being hurt right now. Take a listen to what President Trump had to say.
We're going to take some of that tariff money that we made, we're going to give it to our farmers who are, for a little while, going to be hurt until it kicks in. The tariffs kick into their benefit. So we're going to make sure that our farmers are in great shape because we're taking in a lot of money.
Why should American taxpayers bail out farmers who are hurting because of the president's tariff policies?
Well, look, I think that the farmers, and I represent a lot of them, and they want nothing more than open markets. There are markets right now that aren't open to some of our commodities. And as a consequence of that, we've got a big harvest coming in here in South Dakota, corn and soybeans, and no place to go with it. So what the president has said is, I'm going to support and I'm going to help our farmers. And so we are looking at, I'm a member of the Senate Ag Committee, have been for some time, and we're looking at potential solutions to make sure that we can help support farmers until some of those markets come back. I think part of it is that the president's trying to achieve with his trade policy reciprocity with countries that have been taking advantage of us for a long time. And I think most of us support that. I think a lot of our farmers support that. They are anxious. They want to see markets opened up. And so when I speak to the president and his team about this, I always reiterate the importance of keeping agriculture front and center when you're negotiating trade deals. But at the end of the day, our farmers are probably going to need some financial assistance this year, and a lot of the revenue coming in off the tariffs is what they would use to provide that.
But Leader Thune, why not ask the president to roll back? Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and there's precedent for doing that. I mean, there are many times in the past where, now this is different because you got tariff revenue coming in, which you can use for that purpose. But this is not something that we haven't dealt with before.
Why not ask the president to roll back some of his tariffs instead of supporting a taxpayer-funded bailout for farmers?
I think the big issue with the tariffs, Kristen, is China. And I don't expect China is going to do that just yet. Maybe they will. I'm hopeful that the administration, as a function of their trade policy, tariff policy, can get China back to the table, get them buying agricultural products. They certainly did that in the first Trump term. But I think, at least for right now, that is one of the big markets. And the Chinese are buying from Argentina, they're buying from Brazil, paying much higher prices per bushel simply to punish the U.S. and our farmers. So we've got obviously we've got a situation here. We hopefully, it is short-term in nature. If we have to do something to support farmers, the long-term best outcome and solution for America's farmers is open markets. And I'm hoping the administration will be successful in achieving that.
So, Leader Thune, let me ask you about some new news in a developing story. The president saying on Saturday he supports sending, and he's going to send troops into Portland, Oregon. It's the latest city to see federal troops. Do you support the president using the U.S. military to police American cities?
Well, it depends on what he's using it for. If there are federal law enforcement officials that are threatened in some of these cities, or federal assets or federal buildings, he has the authority to do that. My understanding is this is a request that came from the Department of Homeland Security, which suggests that they view the situation there as threatening to some of the officials who are working in that city. So, I mean, again, these are case by case. These are decisions that get made based upon what the threat environment is in some of these cities, but he certainly has the right to protect American and law enforcement officials in some of these cities if they're under threat.
Leader Thune, just big picture, there are more than 300 lawsuits in front of the courts right now accusing the president of overstepping presidential authority and attempting to override Congress, from tariffs to immigration to the deployment of the National Guard. Is there anything that the president could do right now, any line that he could cross in terms of his executive authority that would prompt you to speak out against that policy?
Well, I think I do that a good amount, actually. Just look at this last week, Kristen. But I think the broader question here is, yeah, if the president and every administration, I've been through multiple administrations now, Democrat and Republican, they're always going to assert as much authority as they can. That's the nature of the executive branch. And yes, Congress, as a co-equal independent branch of the government, has our job to do. And one of the levers we have is the power of the purse, which is funding. We also have the power of oversight and having hearings. But there are a lot of these issues that are going to get resolved by the courts. And that's where, right now, a lot of these things are being litigated. Some of these steps that he's taken. And frankly, on the tariff issue, these are authorities that Congress has given him in the past by statute. And now they're being litigated in the courts. And so that's the system that we have. We will figure it out. But I can assure you we're going to do our job, which is what we're trying to do by keeping the government funded and actually passing appropriations bills where we address some of the very issues that you're talking about.
All right. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, thank you so much for a robust conversation this morning. Really appreciate it. Great to see you.
Thanks, Kristen. Nice to see you.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.